Okay, so welcome back. This is where we left off. We just created the data model of our idea entity. Um, this is fine for now. We're gonna add to it later, and thankfully, or thanks to our ORM config, it's gonna synchronize with this line. So we could update this data model in the future. But with that, let's actually create um, a controller. So actually we need a module first, so let's use the nest CLI. So nest G for generate module, which is abbreviated to MO, I believe. And it's gonna be idea. And then we need to generate controllers. Idea. Hopefully that puts in the right place. Idea module, idea controller, module, cool. Let's actually put a space here to conform to the Angular syntax style guide. We're just gonna put a space after all of these things really quick. And here, and let's put this up here. Alright, that's a small little thing. Not too important, but it's a does get on my nerves a little bit sometimes, so there you go. Anyways, and and then finally we need we also need a nest generate service idea slash idea. Okay, and over here services by default goes into the root, but we actually wanted to hold it inside of the idea directory, so that's why we need to add the full path from the root here. Okay, and let's get started. Controller for idea module providers looks good. Put a space here, and all right. So let's first go inside the controller and define our routes. So we're gonna go through the normal. Clear this really quick. The normal CRUD routes. So we want a get show all ideas. Yeah, let's do this. And then we also want a post request for create idea. And then another get. This time we're going to provide the ID to read idea. Oh my god, that's annoying. Read idea. Put requests for update. And then finally a delete on, what is this? Delete? I'm gonna call it destroy actually. Destroy idea. So this should be fairly familiar. So we're doing the normal CRUD app, or the CRUD application. So create, read, update, destroy with the following HTTP methods: post, get, put, delete, and of course show all at the root. both the put and the delete should also be a ID. So if we save and make sure that all the things are imported correctly, and now we just need to provide the logic. And the logic will live in the ideal services, the service. But before we start that, let's make sure to not forget to import, or no, not import, inject our dependency. So this is going to be a private idea service, and that'll allow us to use the idea service inside of our controller. Okay, so let's start writing some code. So what do we need in this? Well, first we need to actually connect to our database or connect to our entity manager. So let's actually go back to the idea module and do an import here. And make sure we have a comma. And this is going to be the type or module. And it's going to be for feature idea entity. All right, let's organize our imports. It's fine. Actually, I want to put the entity up here. And that will allow this module to have access to typeorm. And then the for feature just lists out all the entities that we're going to interact with. All right, so back in to our idea service, we want to add dependency injection once again. This time for the typeorm repository. So let's go really quick, and it's gonna be private idea repository of idea entity. Make sure we import this typeorm. Boop 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 boop. And let's see. And typeorm is not part of NestJS directly, so we actually have to use a feature, or use a decorator called inject, not entity manager, repository. What? Oh, right, and we have to supply it with the with the actual entity. So there we go. So a little bit extra work for dependency management, dependency injection, I mean, to get this going, but now we can treat it as if it was any other class property. All right, so we're gonna create the logic to go with each of our routes. So the show all, create, read, update, destroy. But because these are routes, I specified ideas, whereas this is a service, I'm gonna just do the actual or call it by the actual operations. So show all is gonna be I'm actually gonna make it async. We're gonna work with promises. Awaits. Let's actually return awaits this dot idea repository dot find everything. And then next is our create. So async creates return. Do I want to return? No, actually I want to store it somewhere. So let's do this. Await this dot idea repository dot create data, and then await idea, no, not idea, this dot save idea, and finally return the idea. All right. And then of course there's the what is it? Read, which is much easier. We're gonna take in the idea, which is of type string. It's always gonna be of type string, which is why I'm gonna specify here. And this is gonna be return await this dot idea repository dot find one, where ID is equal to ID. And of course, since we're using TypeScript, which is modern JavaScript, so we're gonna use the shorthand. So that's three methods: create, read, async, update. Update needs the ID as well as data. And then update is going to be, it's going to look like this. So this dot idea repository dot update ID, also supplying data, and return this dot find one. So we're gonna make two calls to the database. This is mostly because what is being returned by the update function is not the actual data itself. Instead, it returns operations in the database. Which, if you'd like, you could just do a return here and try it out. But I'm gonna save you the trouble and just do that. And then finally, destroy, which just needs a string. Await this dot idea repository dot deletes ID, and we want to return something, but after the idea is deleted here, it doesn't return us anything. So instead, we're just gonna return objects saying deleted, true. That looks good to me. So right now it's not very type safe because data here, as well as here, are implicitly of type any, and we don't want to do that. Just so we have more control and we know what the data is supposed to look like, we're gonna create what is called a data transfer object. So touch source idea dot dto dot ts. All right. So export interface, and this is gonna be idea dto. So what a data transfer object basically is, it's gonna detail the type of data that's being passed through the controller and what we're expecting. And since the ID as well as the created date is automatically generated, the user is not necessarily going to send that data. So instead, we're gonna explicitly say what we're accepting, and it's just gonna be right now two properties. So idea of type string, as well as description of type string. And then back in our service, we could just add in here idea DTO. And once again, I just want to remind you that I'm using auto imports, so you may not have noticed that I didn't actually import these manually, but it's good to point out just in case you missed them. Okay, so finally let's go back to our controller. And oh wait, 1 second. Let's go back to the service. Update. Okay, so the idea data transfer object for update it's reasonable to account for partial. Let's do this really quick. A partial type. So a user is not always going to update the idea or the description together, and might just do one or the other. Doing partial allows us to take care of that. We're still expecting the object, but not the entire object. And okay, so let's actually use our service in our controller. So show all. We're just gonna return this dot. No, not that. It's idea service dot show all, and then post is going to return this dot idea service dot create. Once again, this is going to be data here. Well, not. It's actually going to be yeah. So data of type idea DTO. Make sure to import data. And then we're going to be getting it from the body. So NestJS gives us another decorator to interact with the body of our request. So that something feels wrong. Huh. No, I think that's good. Yep. And similarly, it has params. Oh my god. Params. Oh, no S. There we go. Return this dot idea service dot read ID. Okay, so NestJS gives us a param decorator so that we can get the ID from the queries parameter that's provided here, and then interact with it in our controller. So with that out of the way, all we just need to do is call the functions that we created. Update, which takes in the ID as well as data. So param here, which is the ID, a type string, and then a body of data of type partial of idea DTO. And I believe that is the param here, ID, string, this dot idea service dot destroy ID. Okay, so not too crazy. This is pretty simple if you think about it, and this is the basic CRUD applications of it. Now we just need to test it. So once again, the browser only does GET requests, and we need something more powerful to send POST requests as well as puts and deletes. And for that, we're going to be using a tool that I like called Postman. But first, we need to start the server. Wait for all the logs to come out. Cool. And here we go. So let's make sure that we're going to the idea endpoint. So localhost 4000 idea. We just send a GET request. It returns us all of it, which currently is an empty array because there's nothing in our database. But we could change that by posting to the same route with this data. So test, test, we get something back. Now we're just gonna copy the ID and do a get, which should return us the same thing. Although it seems like it's shuffled around a little bit, but that's fine. Let's make an update. And also to test the partial, you can get rid of one of the fields. Testing stuff. You send. It's been updated, and just to see if it has been, you could do another GET request or a GET request to the root of idea, which will be an array which includes this idea. And then finally, we can delete it, which just gives us back deleted true. Alright, so that is the basics of, oh, and then also this is all the logs that has to do with our ideas. Idea entity dot id, blah, blah, blah. Yep. So that concludes the basics of CRUD applications in NestJS. And this is also the video that will get across the entire idea of the to-do app. So in the next video, we're actually gonna improve upon this. I think we're gonna jump onto error handling, because if we go back and see, there's a couple weird things that happens. So we deleted this thing, and if we send a request, it gives us something, but it's empty. And it would be nice to actually have an error here saying like idea not found or something. Alternatively, it does actually do the operation, because if you just send in a random ID parameter, it does give us uh, an error. Although I do want a little more information besides just the status code and the message, so we might edit our error handling in the next video. Yeah. So clear. Let's make sure to update our Git repository. So git dash a, or no, git add dash a, git commit added idea module. Clear. Alright, I'll see you guys in the next video.